Big 12 Today here on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. With Ari, I'm James, and we welcome in Rachel Galligan talking Big 12 women's basketball. We'll have Talia Scott on the program, the Baylor women's basketball guard who had a monster game against Iowa State. She joins us at around 9:20 Central Time. Rachel, good morning. What's up?
Good morning, everybody. Happy 2026.
Same to you. Happy New Year. Do you do New Year's resolutions?
I do. I think I might kind of roll over what I did from last year, and you're going to laugh. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this resolution, but my resolution last year was to listen to only 80s and 90s music.
And did you do it?
I did it. It was awesome.
You did it for an entire year?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, so I can't prevent hearing certain music.
Right.
But on my own Spotify or whatever, I definitely had my yacht music, my yacht rock music, my grocery aisle music. It was great. Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
Wow, Rachel
I was
Galligan.
so happy.
Anti-modern music. How about that?
Only 8% of Americans make it through the year with their New Year's resolution.
Wow, that's interesting.
So you were in elite company.
What's your guys's?
We didn't really do one.
James doesn't have any. He doesn't. He's so perfect. He does not resolve to do anything.
That's it.
Fair.
No, I need
fair.
like a list of like 30 New Year's resolutions just to get through the day.
Let's get us one.
Okay, I'll come up with one.
Oh,
Give
so
me a
many.
minute. Just give me
So
a
many to
minute.
choose from. There's
So
like
many.
30.
Just give me
I
one.
just can't think of one right
Time out.
now.
Time out. Stop biting my fingernails.
Okay, good. That's a good one.
That's it.
Good.
Every year.
That's a genetic predisposition. Good luck with that one.
Is that a genetic thing? I've never
sure it
succeeded.
is.
I thought it was just major anxiety. So that makes me actually feel better.
Which could be a genetic predisposition.
Rachel, some massive upsets. Baylor winning at Iowa State. Utah takes down TCU. What was the biggest surprise over the weekend that we've seen so far on the women's side?
I guess if we're talking surprises, I'm a little surprised at TCU dropping that one to Utah. Very interesting game. I mean, Utah was really good, and I think they kind of reminded us that this is a program that has, a certain type of system that they run. They share the basketball exceptionally well. They can shoot the ball exceptionally well. I thought it was really interesting to see TCU just kind of. They had 75 shot attempts compared to Utah's 54. You have that kind of difference, and you're not going to lose that many games. But it really came down to Utah's 3-point percentage. They shot 57% from the 3-point line, 13 to 23, 48% from the field. So really good win for Gavin Peterson, kind of a signature win, I think. In some ways he is a first-year coach, even though he kind of took over the program midway through the season last year. But I was really impressed with Utah. That was definitely one of those wins where it turns your head. But then also for TCU, I mean, I am extremely high on TCU. I think this is a team that can go to the Final Four when they're clicking on all cylinders. And so this is the first time I've seen them look, quote-unquote, human, if you will. And that's what the Big 12 will do. I mean, you're going to be tested every single night, and you're going to get everybody's best shot every single night. So was definitely interested to see kind of them have struggle offensively because they've been so good offensively. I'm more interested now to kind of see how they respond, right? How does TCU take a loss like this, bump down in just a few spots in the rankings, and how does this propel them forward for the rest of the season?
I mean, the defensive effort in this game to me was the biggest piece, Rachel. I mean, this is the best defense in the Big 12 in terms of points per game. I think at 53, 51.9. So they gave up 87 in this one. So what did they do to them?
I mean, I only was able to catch really the second half of that game. I think Utah was really locked in just on specific rotations that I saw in the back half. I mean, and sinking down on certain players. I mean, Marta Suarez is extremely important to what TCU does offensively. She ends up, 8 to 21. She still had 23 points and played the whole game. But I think they did a really good job at just contesting her shots and making her kind of take contested jumpers and just making her just a little bit more uncomfortable. Obviously, Olivia Miles has 31 points, and it's going to be really difficult to slow those two down in particular. But they really didn't allow anybody else to beat them. Maddie Shear, 0 for 5. 0 for 5 from the 3-point line. That's a player they need her to be able to be giving them 7 to 10 points a game, if you will. Clara Silva, I mean, that's she's got great height at 6'6", 6'7", limiting her just to 10 points. That's a huge advantage in the paint. And so I think they did a really good job of making Suarez uncomfortable and shooting kind of more contested shots than what she's used to. And then just not allowing anybody else to have a big night. I mean, it was really just those three. Donovan Hunter, of course, is going to get hers. But after that starting four, and Maddie Shears held scoreless, there was really nobody else that scored in that game.
And the other big upset of the weekend was Iowa State losing. So two of the three undefeateds went down this weekend. I'm curious if there's something that Baylor did to Audie Crooks that is maybe a blueprint other teams can follow, because Audie Crooks was not as good. It feels like Baylor didn't really allow her to get to some of her spots that she's normally used to getting to, and threw different looks at her. Just curious kind of your overall thoughts on what Baylor did with Iowa State.
Yeah, I actually I was really interested watching this matchup, because Nikki Collins going to do something. Baylor is such a good defensive team, and her schemes at times are fascinating to me, and how she's going to kind of defend and have her team play that game. Audie Crooks goes off for 20 points in the first half. We're all thinking, okay, this is what Audie does, and you cannot slow her down. And I was asked on studio last week, what do you do to slow Audie Crooks down? And I made a joke. I said, you hope for the best. But that second half in particular, they basically chose to play the percentages, picking your poison, if you will. It chose to take a player off of Jada Williams and basically sat her on top of Audie Crooks. So at any time during the game, you had a player sitting on top of Audie Crooks and a player, on the side or on behind. So they were playing 2 to 3 players surrounding her at all times, and that really limited her touches, and that limited her even being able to get the basketball. Only had 6 points in the second half, and that forced Jada Williams into taking uncontested wide open shots. And then let me tell you, that really messes with the player's psyche at times. When you are literally in a crowded gym on a national TV game and you're standing there wide open, and Baylor's literally saying, we dare you to shoot it. We want you to shoot it, like you beat us. For that to happen over and over and over, that messes with your psyche a little bit, without a doubt. At times Jada Williams was hesitant. You could tell she was working through it. She knocked down some big shots. I mean, she ends up with a career-high 28 points, but that was Nikki Collins and her staff playing the percentages a little bit. We're going to make you shoot way more than what you're comfortable shooting. She shot 28 times in that game. That is very unusual for Jada Williams. And so, obviously, Audie Crooks finishes with 26. Jada Williams has a career-high 28. I think one of the biggest differences, too, is they did a really good job on Addie Brown. Addie Brown can't afford to go 1 for 7. She's kind of I don't know, what's the right word, the key, the X factor for Iowa State, if you will. And so, I mean, just defensively, a really interesting gamble. A lot of times, you play those percentages and it doesn't work out for you. But I think, this was a game that Baylor had a great game plan. And you're exactly right. This will be studied by opponents in the future, just trying to find ways to slow Audie Crooks down and make somebody else beat you. And I can guarantee you Jada Williams and her coaches are talking about that, because everybody wants to know what's the recipe to beat Iowa State and slow down Audie Crooks. Well, Nikki Collins just showed us.
Rachel, is Utah an NCAA tournament team in your eyes?
Yeah, I think they have the potential, without a doubt. I mean, it's still kind of a newer system, that's not what I'm trying to say. A newer team, if you will. But I think you've got some players on this team that have really gotten my attention, if you will. They're deep with L.A. Snead, Lonnie White, Maddie Wilkie, Reese Ross. And then you look at kind of their bench, Evelina Otto, who is just in her first year from Latvia. So I think that they can be. I mean, they're 11-4 on the season, 2-1 in the Big 12. To me, they're entering into that category of, okay, is this a dark horse that could make a deep run and really? I mean, obviously they can beat a TCU. That's a great quad 1 win and resume builder. I think after that win, anything's possible if they can take care of business from here on out and win the games that quote unquote they're supposed to win, if you will. Yeah,
well said. Texas Tech, they're legit, huh? Still the only undefeated team in the Big 12, 3-0 in conference play. They're incredible defensively, allowing 52 points per game. What stands out to you about this team, and are they a legit, title contender for the Big 12?
I gotta check myself sometimes because I call their home games, and so I've got an up close and personal perspective of Texas Tech, and sometimes you get so narrow-minded and focused on one program, you had to remind yourself like bigger picture.
Right.
Is this team legitimate? I think they are, and I think they are because they are one of the oldest teams in the country. When you look at Power 4 programs, the 2 oldest are TCU and Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech's defensive ability is one of the most impressive I've ever seen. It's not that, they just like speak about it and they say they're tough and they come out and that they do what they do, or they're playing a cupcake non-conference. They were challenged in the non-conference. I mean, they played Mississippi State, they played Arkansas, and I know these are teams that are, Arkansas on the lower end of the SEC, SMU lower end of the ACC, but took care of business handedly. And so, I mean, everybody loves offense. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of offensive weapons on this team. You've got 3 players averaging over 14 points a game. Snetta Collins is your leading scorer coming off the bench. That's a very unique rarity and luxury if you're head coach Krista Gerlich. But their defense, 4th in the nation in field goal percentage, defense holding teams to just under 32%. Like you said before, holding teams to under 52 points, which is tied for 3rd in the country. They're 5th in the country in 3-point percentage defense, holding teams to 22% from the 3-point line. So you've got a really good mix of depth. They're incredibly disciplined on the defensive end of the floor. We all know that travels. You can bring that anywhere in the country. That's going to travel. And let me tell you, this staff, they don't let anything slide. They don't let this team feel good about themselves. They're calling out every missed rotation, every missed block out, every missed, lack of communication. They're really on it in terms of how they coach this team. And then when you combine that with a veteran team that has a lot of mature players who've played a lot of college basketball games, who have a sense of urgency that they want to win this year because this is their last go around together. I mean, you've got the perfect combination here. And I'm just really happy for Krista Gerlich because she's put a really great team together from top to bottom, from her coaching staff to her team. And they really do, like, they stay very level-headed about all of this and just take it one day at a time.
How did Texas Tech, we're talking with Rachel Galligan, our Big 12 women's basketball insider. Texas Tech is 16-0 to start the season, outscoring teams by 24 points per game, and they're top 20 now nationally in the net. They have a road win at Baylor as well. So how did they build their roster? Like, is it, I look at Texas Tech, and they're pretty much good at every sport right now. Football, men's basketball, softball just had a historic year. Is it the same type of thing with women's basketball where they went out and had the budget to go get whoever they wanted?
I would say no.
Okay.
No, that's not the case at all. And obviously, I don't know if you guys saw the news. They did just sign a 7'1" center from Nigeria. I had an opportunity to meet her the other day as well. That was probably one of the biggest some of the biggest news in sports this week. But
is she playing? No. Sorry, Rachel. I apologize. Is she eligible this season, or is that for next year?
That will be determined probably in the coming weeks. Hopefully, Fingers crossed, there'll be a decision from the NCAA this week or next. After the holiday break, everyone's getting back to the office. But as of right now, that is to be determined. We do not know if she will play this year or not. But that is the hope. They are hoping that she can play this year. And when you talk about this roster, no, it's not the type of situation where, they've got the budget to go get anybody in the world they want. I would say it's more of a just realistic, average Power 4 team, that has a certain type of budget that they're working with and limitations. There are limitations. And so that makes this even more fascinating is Krista Gerlich and her staff had to work extremely hard in the portal and in the offseason to make sure they were bringing in the right pieces. And I think first and foremost, it starts with making sure that Bailey Maupin was able to play more of a natural position. We have not seen Texas Tech with like a true point guard in the past, so they go out and they get Hema Nunez, who is a transfer from Campbell. And she's made all the difference in the world from her toughness, her defensive ability. She's ranked in the country in steals and in assists. She really gets this offense going. She controls the pace. She plays exceptionally well with, Danae Fritz and Jalen Bristow and Bailey Maupin. Really a true point guard who's going to help get into the paint, collapse the defense, and generate high percentage shots. She is maybe one of my favorite players that I've had a chance to be up this close and personal and watching. She makes all the difference for this team in terms of just, facilitating, but also her toughness. She really embraces their press, really sets the tone along with Danae Fritz defensively and how hard they play and turning people over and being disruptive. And so Hema Nunez was a massive addition, and she has made all the difference in this world. And then you add a Snetta Collins who wasn't even playing basketball last year. She played 4 years at Ole Miss was not playing. She was working last year, and then had an extra year of eligibility, and Texas Tech was able to make that addition, which is, you think about that, right? That's kind of a gamble. That's a really interesting avenue to take when you go bring in somebody who hasn't even been a part of a program for a year. And Collins has been fantastic. She's a matchup nightmare. She's incredibly athletic. And she comes off the bench for them, which is really unique to see the role that she's been able to accept, and also leading this team in scoring. So, and then the other one I'll just add real quick is Jada Malone. Really, really good presence in the paint, good footwork, good hands, high percentage. Has been a really good post addition for this team as well. So they worked really hard in the off season to get the right pieces, but it's not like they have some sort of magic budget that nobody else has.
Okay, very cool, man. That's awesome, Rachel. They are legit. You are legit. We appreciate your time, and we'll catch up soon.
All righty. You guys have a good one. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Thanks, Rach.
Rachel Galligan, women's basketball insider, ESPN, among many, many other platforms, Big 12 Studios. You can catch her all over the place covering women's basketball in a league that has 3 teams in the top 20 of the net rankings, with TCU still in the top 10, and then West Virginia and Texas Tech also in the top 20 on the women's side. We're talking with Baylor guard Talia Scott, who's the Big 12 Player of the Week. She had the game winner as Baylor took down previously unbeaten Iowa State in Ames, dominated in the second half. She joins us in about 20. But coming up next, T-Chains will jump in here for Valid or Void. He's got the topics. We've got the answers. This is Big 12 Radio exclusively on TuneIn.